I'll earnestly request all of you to mute your mics because I'm not muting your mics because I think the freedom should be there with regard to poetry, and we should maintain our own decorum. Dear professors, friends, students, lovers of literature, lovers of Professor R. Nedumaran, welcome. Welcome to this Zoom lecture on conflict and resolution from the Odes of John Keats. As you know, Professor R. Nedumaran is internationally famous for teaching poetry, and we in Sri Lanka are delighted to have you, sir.
Thank you.
Now I request Dr. Subramani, Assistant Professor of English, Chekinayaka College, E Road, to give a brief introduction of Professor R. Nedumaran.
Am I audible, Dr. Rohan?
Yes, sir.
So, good evening, sir. Good evening, Nedumaran, sir. I think it's a great honor for me to introduce sir, not only as a student, but even now I do speak to sir now and then, and for each and everything, any doubt, subject-related doubt or life-related doubt, I just ask sir. And it's a glad thing that Rohan called me this morning to ask me to introduce sir. Last week I was on a visit to American College after a long time, and I just walked through Flint House. I walked through the Department of English Centenary Hall, and I saw all the old stains in the walls. The mosaic was almost same, but something was quite artificial as far as the college was concerned. It was really a bit sad as far as the college is concerned, and every time when I went, please, so as I went through the classrooms and library, I was reminded of my professors, and Aran sir was a fire. That's what I would say. So even now, I have a sense of fear when I think of Aran sir, leave alone speaking about Aran sir. So we don't know what sort of fear it is, but I think it's a positive fear. So the command he has over his subject, and his majestic mien, the way he moves around, and the way he moves with his students, that is very important. Because today what we witness is the student-teacher relationship has undergone a rapid transformation. So teachers nowadays wanted to become close with students, and they wanted to befriend students. So people like Nedumaran sir, such that they're almost like a ball of sun, and you can't just go near them, and you'll have to stand afar, and you'll have to seek knowledge, and you can light yourself. So as a person, he's a majesty personified, and I still remember him coming in Hero Honda bike, I think. So to the department, and when he comes to the class, he comes and he cross-legs himself. And the first class I attended, as far as Nedumaran sir's class is concerned, is related to John Donne, I think. So the way he taught John Donne, the way he taught metaphysical poems was something unmatched. So then subsequently we went to third year and we went to MA, and in MA he plunged into T.S. Eliot, Auden, W.B. Yeats, and till now I remember what he taught as far as Yeats is concerned. So such a powerful teacher, and he's not a person who is satisfied with romantic poetry. And today when I saw the topic, I was really bemused, because sir is not not comfortable I wouldn't use the word comfortable. He's not one who likes romantic poetry. That's what I guess. He wants problematic poems, and he is more comfortable with T.S. Eliot and such people. And when he teaches Wasteland, I think I doubt if there is any teacher in the world who can match him. So, as a teacher, he is a storm. That's what I would say. And he's a storm in the sense he's a benign storm, a constructive storm who destroys all the ignorance that is in students' mind and builds positivism. That's what I would say. And as a student, I feel really proud for having studied under Nedumaran sir. And whatever I am today, I think it's because of him and other teachers of American College. And it was a golden age of American College. That's what I would say. So thank you very much, sir. And once again, I would like to thank Rohan for having given me this opportunity. Thank you, Dr. Rohan. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Subramani. And now over to Professor Nedumaran, sir, for your valuable lecture.
Wow. Hello, Sri Lanka. Love to talk to people in Sri Lanka. I won't call this a webinar. It brings me very bad associations like seminar. I'm not good at that. This is a classroom. Feel comfortable. You can listen. It's a free country. You can and you don't have to, because I can't see you. I don't know how you'll react. This is a very strange techie setting. I can hear my voice. I can see myself. Very narcissistic, right? But anyway, Rohan, thank you very much for the invite. Thank you very much. And thank you, Subramaniam, for all the words. It reminded me of a person who worked there from 1967 to 2002. Many people may not remember that. That's why I just want to check myself. It's a very interesting topic. Conflict and resolution in the poetry, in the Odes of Keats. Before I begin, I have a disclaimer. Poruppu Thurappu, they call it in Tamil. I solemnly declare that I have not used, I'm not using AI or chatbot, because they can never echo the sounds of hell within me. They can never echo the conflict or rage that raged within Keats or people like me. Therefore,
Excuse me, others, can you mute your mics?
Rohan,
Yes, sir.
should I mute myself?
No.
Okay. Nobody dare to mute me, I guess. Okay. You know what? Keats is still popular. I went to Google and I typed Keats criticism in 21st century. And the information was provided by the English department, University of Victoria, under mapping Keats's progress. Listen to the topics. It's very interesting. Surgical poetics of Keats. Heart disease and Hyperion. Keats and pollination. Keats and the temporal artery. Keats in the digital realm. And the last one, top it all, eroticization of sleep in the poetry of Keats. Very interesting list of topics, right? The list is endless. But then, what's my modus operandi for this class. I can't help reading out a few lines from Billy Collins, a contemporary poet from America. He wrote it's a very interesting poem on introduction to poetry. Can you all hear me loud and clear, Rohan?
Yes, sir. You are loud and clear.
Okay, thank you. The poem goes like this. Listen. I asked them to take a poem and hold it up to the light like a color slide, or press an ear against the seal, against his height. I say drop a mouse into a poem and watch him probe his way out, or walk inside the poem's room and feel the walls for a light switch. I want them to water ski across the surface of a poem, waving at the author's name on the shore. Hi, Keats. Hi, Shelley. How are you doing? You greet them like that. But you know what the teachers want to do? All they want to do, tie the poem to a chair with a rope and torture a confession out of it. They begin beating it with a hose to find out what it really means. That's not the way I have taught, and that's not the way I want to teach. Hold the poem like a slide against your eyes. Listen to the sounds. Get into that room, probe for meaning, and then casually greet Keats or Shelley. Have fun with Keats, but don't torture Keats, tying him to a chair, beating him, and trying to extract meaning. That's not the way. 2 minutes snapshot. Let's recollect what Keats, when he was born and when he died, like 1795, 1821. We got to remember these years, just 25, 26 years. Son of a coachman, prosperous. First of 4 children. Mother died when he was 14. And do you know, Keats was only 5 feet tall. Very handsome guy, but 5 feet tall. That must have given him some kind of a complex, but obviously it did not. 1815, he joins as an apprentice surgeon at Guy's Hospital. 1818, the beginnings of the symptoms of TB. And then the aborted love affair with Fanny Brown in 1820, sails to Italy in 1820 and dies in 1821. A short, but what a remarkable life. I want to quickly look at some of the features of Keats's poetry. I think there's one word I want to lay stress is beauty. Not in a sense, beauty in the Greek sense. Beauty is truth and truth beauty. The Greeks always loved the combination of beauty and truth and beauty of one. That means I'm looking for the inner as well as the outer beauty. And that is what Keats looked at the world. Secondly, there is a Greek spirit in him. And that is why, remember that poem, George Chapman translation of Homer, and how on first looking at the Chapman's Homer, Keats was so excited. He was like, it was fascinating, like an astronomer finding a new, unknown, unheard of planet swimming into his ken. And he was looking at the Pacific Ocean, silent upon Darien. That's a kind of excitement Keats felt when he read the translation of Homer's Iliad, written 200 years before, 1816. And today, after 200 years of Keats's death, we are looking at Keats's poetry with the same kind of excitement. There are two poems I want you to listen in order to understand the poetry of Keats. There were two poems written early. If I have a look at those two poems, I can understand what the conflict was all about. One was, he wrote a sonnet on sitting down to read King Lear once again. Oh, golden-tongued romance with serene lute. Let me do away with those first three lines. He says, let me get out of this romancing with romance. Let me, once again, the fierce dispute between damnation and impassioned clay. I think he had read Shakespeare's King Lear umpteen times. But the title is Sitting Down to Read King Lear Again. That is why he talks about the kind of conflict, fierce dispute between death, damnation, suffering, and the impassioned clay, the lively, fretting, fuming characters. And I must burn through. I feel this is Lear suffered. The play is all about that suffering. And he met with the death eventually. There was the hope. Now, Keats wants to plunge into Lear again and again to understand what suffering is all about. And he calls it as bitter sweet of the Shakespearean fruit. And he knows that he will be consumed in that fire of suffering. And he makes that appeal. I don't want to wander around in empty dreams. When I'm consumed in the fire of your suffering, as I find in the play, when I'm consumed in that fire, give me new phoenix wings to fly at my desire. So here is a hint, a clue about suffering and finding a meaning in suffering, maybe even salvation. There is another poem, which is an earlier poem, which is begins with, in a drear night of December, you happy, happy tree, your branches cannot remember their green felicity. That means winter, the branches in winter do not remember their summer or spring, at one point. Another, in a drear night of December, happy, happy brook, thy bubblings never remember Apollo's summer look. I think the key thing is nature is capable of sweet forgetting. And that's why he closes the poem with, were there ever any humans writhe not with at passed joy? Are we capable of the feel of not to feel it? And I want you to remember these two poems. One is suffering, the fire of suffering. You enter the fire and you try to come out. The other one, of course, the capacity of nature to forget. And I think Keats has this suffering as this point when he started writing his odes. I want to focus on three odes, but I think this is the conflict. People say that he is an escape, but he is not. He tries to explore escape, but then he wants to understand nature and understand suffering and try to ultimately overcome suffering based on imagination. And that is why he calls it as a dialectical, a debate between the 2 points of view. Am I capable of forgetting? Is it possible for me to achieve permanence? And why that I'm not able to transcend transience like nature? How come that I don't have the capacity to forget my past? Why the present tortures me? This is the dialectic. But then Keats wants to solve this debate through using his imagination. That is why conflict and resolution. And as Harold Bloom talks about, all romantic horrors are diseases of excessive consciousness. I'm incapable of forgetting myself, my suffering. I'm so conscious of the self, and I can't bear the self. And that is why Keats wants to solve this problem somehow. That is his whole journey. Unlike other poets, he was not political, he was not social, but he focused on a thing of beauty, which is a joy forever. And I think the sense of beauty runs through all his poems, and he's obsessed with the poetry of the earth. Now, looking at the poems, like, for example, Ode to a Nightingale, it's a very interesting poem where you have a poem that ends with questions. Normally, people say that a poem shall not end in question or doubt. They somehow feel, like Billy Collins would say, a poem begins and very casually. It's an everyday occurrence. So you don't be deceived by that casual opening. Then as the poet develops the poem, it becomes more and more complex. But somehow or other, through lanes, through bylanes, through doors, through many paths, he finally reaches a conclusion or a resolution. But we don't find that in the two poems I want to talk about. One is Ode to the Grecian Urn and Ode to a Nightingale. Let's look at Nightingale. It's a very popular, the so-called prescribed poem, Ode to a Nightingale. Again, it begins very casually. My heart aches and a drowsy numbness pains my soul as though I had drunk hemlock. So there is, he's drowsy. Okay, fine. And the drowsiness is responsible for the second stanza where he talks about all that is drought of vintage, cold long ago, tasting of flora. He talks about the beaker full of warm south. He talks about the blushful hypocrite. He talks about the beaded bubbles winking at the rim, very much rooted in the pleasures of life. Understandable. It's a takeoff from the first stanza. But what happens in the third stanza? The reality strikes. I want to fade far away. I'm tired of the reality where youth grows pale and so on. But he wants to fly away, dissolve himself in the winds of poesy. And he builds a kind of an imaginary world, and he devotes a paragraph for that. That is a word that strikes. In a poem, you look for phrases or words. There is a word, to thy high requiem become a sword. And I think that is a kind of a turning point before he closes the poem. I remember in Thirukkural, உறங்குவது போலும் சாக்காடு உறங்கி விழிப்பது போலும் வாழ். உறங்குவது போலும் சாக்காடு. You sleep, but there's a kind of sleep where you will never recover from, you never wake up from. That is சாக்காடு, death. உறங்கி விழிப்பது போலும் வாழ்வு. That is a day-to-day occurrence. You sleep and wake up, and that is all. That is all about life and death. உறங்குவது போலும் சாக்காடு உறங்கி விழிப்பது போலும் வாழ்வு. So here he listens to the song and he thinks that the bird of the song, they are permanent. But then suddenly it strikes him, if I die, will I continue to listen to to the song of the nightingale? No, because I would be part of the earth, a sword, and that song will be like a funeral song, and he can accept that. Though there is a debate about this, thou was not born for death, immortal immortal bird. No hungry generation can tread you down. But whatever, in the closing stanza, he is left alone. The plaintive song fades in the distance, and he ends with a question, fled is that music, do I wake or sleep? So the poem ends in a question mark. Very often we think that it's a poem with notes and indications of escapism, where you love your wine, you love your dance, you love your involvements, commitments in the world, and you need a certain escapism from the suffering, and that is why you resort to these means of escape. Keats loves life. He's not an escapist. But then he wants to resolve that question. How come that everything is transient in my life or everybody's life? That's a human predicament. So he has to find a solution. And that is why he thinks a song of the bird, which might have been heard by many in the past and now in the present. He doesn't talk about the future. But then when he dies, I won't listen. So he's perplexed. The music is over. What's happening to me? Am I awake or am I asleep? So when the poem ends in a question. So when I teach Ode to the Nightingale, I remember it was the only poem prescribed in certain years. But so I thought, okay, I explain that poem and everybody is happy. Oh, we understand the poem. But then later I discovered that you can't read an ode alone. You have to you have to look at it in the larger context, and that is why I go to a poem like Ode on a Grecian urn. Again, the poem begins with one second. Let me get the poem. Yeah, it begins with questions. Here is an inanimate object, an urn, with all kinds of engravings on it. Let's not go into details. Here is an artwork, piece of artwork. I'm looking at it. But if you look at the poem, there is no I here. There is no I like in Nightingale. It's all third person, impersonal. The best poets are those who distance themselves from the immediacy of the problem and look at it. Like Browning, what he did in My Last Duchess, or his Fra Lippo Lippi. Browning is absent. Browning is not the hero. The speaker is not Browning. Here, who is the speaker? That's a debate. It could be the urn. But then the questions rage. Who are these people? And then from the visual, he goes to auditory. Heard melodies are sweet, and those unheard are sweeter still. And that is a very interesting point. For example, in life, we don't sing, but we hear the song inside, and that is so sweet. And here on the artifact, there's a guy people who are singing, heard melodies are sweet, but in art, the melodies are greater still. And then he looks at a fair youth. He will remain fair forever and ever because he's there as a piece of art there on the urn. And he was about to kiss a girl he is in love with, and their love is permanent. So very interesting. The melodies are permanent. You can hear that all the while, throughout your life. Those melodies will be heard within you. And fair youth, you can never remove that image of youth from that fair youth who is in love, and that love is permanent. Not like in the poet's life, where he had to abort his love affair because he cannot consummate, given the fact that he was going to die in a few years. So you may not kiss her, but don't worry about it. Don't grieve. You will be in love forever. So far, it has been a smooth sail. And then in the next stanza, of course, you have the town, the worshiping, the heifer being brought, a religious ceremony is going on. But one temple, around the temple, there's so much crowd, came from another village, and the village is empty. And he also talks about, oh yeah, something is missing here. There is emptiness. There is emptiness in that village because all the people have gone to the temple. So what am I missing here? And the crucial line, a burning forehead and a parching tongue. These are images of suffering, which he wanted to escape from. He has escaped for 2 stanzas, maybe 3 stanzas, and he thought he has surrendered himself to a piece of artwork. But then this strikes him hard. But something is missing. I don't find a parched tongue and a burning forehead. And the closing stanza, yes, it was tempting. It was tantalizingly close to finding a solution. I've been deceived. Just like I was deceived in Nightingale, I'm deceived by art, from song to art. But is there an end to this point? Yes. The Nightingale ends with a question. Urn ends with a clue. You can resolve this raging conflict between transience and permanence. You can. And you get the clue when I'm looking at the Grecian urn, appreciate the artwork, admire the permanence achieved on the surface, and about the youth forever remaining young, forever in love. But something is missing here. Yes, they have achieved their permanence, but it's frozen. I think Keats is one of the best poets who can capture a frozen moment and delight on it and write a poem on it. It's a frozen moment. What you find on the Grecian urn, frozen moment. So it kind of tempted me, and I thought I had that, I got it, but there is still some redemption at the end. It's beautiful. It's a piece of art. It's beautiful. And in the true Hellenic spirit, it must contain the truth. So beauty is truth. Truth is beauty. Arahe vaimai. Vaimai arahe. So there is a clue. It is not a conclusion. It is not a resolution. I guess ending with questions in Nightingale, now in the Grecian urn, ending with a clue. By the way, what I have read, criticism, people are not sure about the sequencing of the Odes, whether Grecian urn preceded Nightingale or vice versa, we don't know. But thematically speaking, Nightingale must have preceded Grecian urn. So we got a question, we got a clue, and got to find not resolution, maybe that's a wrong word, not a total, this is the end, this is how we have solved the problem. It's not like mathematics. But I think Ode to Autumn is it's a kind of a neglected poem in the academia. People are fond of Grecian urn or nightingale. So either nightingale or Grecian urn. But Ode to Autumn is where you find clarity. I won't call resolution. Yes, resolution, fine. But you have resolved to find clarity and you have found it. You have clarity. And interestingly, got only 3 stanzas. He is playing with the number of stanzas. Got only 3. And first stanza, of course, you'll find autumn season. He talks about process. I think there is a very, 1 second. Okay, I got the point. Yeah. Season of mist and mellow fruitfulness. So the process of nature, the process of life, you'll find that in the first stanza. Lovely images and lovely the music, like summer has overbrimmed their clammy sails, as if the warm days will never cease. So there is a continuum. You are talking about a process that began some seasons ago, or a season ago, or 2 seasons ago, and now it reaches a stage. And that is what we are talking about, autumn season. So he gives a description. There is some suggestion. Season of mist, nothing clear, hazy. Maybe talking about death, we don't know. Mellow fruitfulness, there is a fruition. And is the close bosom friend of maturing sun. And you can't but help notice the continuous tense, present continuous, maturing sun. That's why I use the word process. There is a process of nature at work in the first stanza. How the fruits are blessed and how the fruits reach ripeness to the core and the shells get plumped with a sweet kernel to set budding more. There is no end. It's a continuous process to set budding more. So these are the clues we got to cling ourselves to. So the first one, process, using tactile imagery. The second one, of course, he personifies nature. All of us know that. But Keats' masterly manipulation of sounds. There is a scene in the second stanza where someone is carrying a load and walking on the footpath, and the one who carries the load loses the balance, was about to fall. This is visual. Fine, you can show a person carrying a load, and it's a slight tumble, perhaps about to fall. You can show that visually, but how can you show it on the printed page? Listen to this line. Or by a cider press. No, and sometimes, like a gleaner, thou dost keep steady thy laden head across a brook. Remember, sometimes a gleaner, thou dost keep, end of the line, no punctuation mark. Keep steady, the next line, steady, sibilant. Keep steady. There is a gap, a time lapse, maybe a second. But that's when the person was about to fall and steadies himself or herself. And this is manipulated by punctuation and the juxtaposition of keep and steady. This is a masterly work in the second stanza. So you have the personification of a gleaner, keeping a store of the whatever you have harvested, and there is a instance of the one where the workers taking a nap in the afternoon, very languorous, very laid back in the second stanza. It's almost like it's like the twilight zone. But then you wake up the beginning of the third stanza. Suddenly, you may find Keats, but he doesn't say hi. But you know it is Keats. Where are the songs of spring? Hey, where are they? It's a lament. It's a longing. Hey, where are they? Suddenly comes the answers. Think not of them. Thou hast thy music too. Now, these are the two crucial lines. ஒவ்வொரு இருட்டுக்கும் வைகறை உண்டு. For every sunset, there is always a sunrise. And he gives that it's not a philosophy he has learned in a book. It is something he has observed. He has observed the summer, the spring season, and the winter. And in the autumn, he wakes up. Yes, every season has its music. So why should I in autumn long for the music of spring? And why should I worry about the dreary night of December that awaits us? Thou hast thy music too. So the clarity, the so-called resolution is found in those two lines. And what follows, of course, is the musical genius of Keats and how he brings the onset, sunset. It's like in an orchestra, the sounds, descending, and finally gathering swallows twitter in the skies. So I call that as there is a question: where are the songs of spring? But immediately there is the admonition: think not of them. Thou hast thy music too. I think there is imagination, but there is also the thinking aspect of Keats. He tries to rationalize whatever he finds through imagination. I think he is not pontificating. Wordsworth is a towering figure, and he will tell the world that nature never did betray the heart that loved her. Believe in nature, and nature will solve your problems. So that's why he's called the high priest of nature's temple. So it's a towering personality, and he can talk about blessed moods and how he was able to see into the life of things, making big claims. Nature endows me with certain capacity to see through the life of things in undeniable lines. So there is something intimidating about the nature poetry that's how I feel of Wordsworth. I remember I attended one of the orientation programs long back when I was stupidly young, 1973 or something. We were in Kerala, and there was Sukumar Arikod, CPM activist, orator, literature. He came to address us, and he said, reading Wordsworth is like taking a long walk on a dull, cold evening in English winter. And that is how exciting Wordsworth was to Sukumar Arikod. Shelley, of course, he can be intimidating. It's like a revolutionary kind of prophet of hope. So if winter comes, can spring be far behind? Very authentic, very authoritative. But in Keats, the picture of a 5 feet tall, handsome guy suffering
Professor Nedumaran
and outwardly, losing
conflicts and
siblings,
odes of Keats.
losing his parents,
Okay.
losing his love, but never losing the hope for a resolution, that I got to find the meaning of life. And he does that in this beautiful poem, Ode to Autumn. There is something very, very quiet, somber about this poem, that very Shakespearean. Men shall endure their going hence, even as they are coming hither. King Lear. You got to bear with your going from this world as you did with your coming here. Men must endure their going even as they are coming hither. Ripeness is all. Ripeness is all. Do I have that maturity? Do I have that mindset? And how did I get that mindset? Going through that purgatorial forge, the fire, the consuming fire. The consuming fire he finds. And he suffered like King Lear. And he, through the fire, finds certain answers to those questions that plagued him all. And I want to look at this poem also from our own context. In this, I don't know, people should know about J.M. Mohan. He's one of the prominent contemporary authors. He has brought out Aram. It's an anthology of short stories, masterpieces. And in one story, Matturu Tayir, that's a short story, Matturu Tayir. He uses certain images from Kambaramayana. The line is, Soham Vandu Uruvadu Telivu. தெளிவு பிறக்க வேண்டும் என்றால் அது சோகத்தின் மூலமாகத்தான் வர வேண்டும். And he tries to explain that through certain images. There is a pot, kalayam, and inside you have buttermilk, and you have a long wooden spoon, and you churn it, you hit it, you clockwise or anti-clockwise, and as you do that, as you churn that, something you call that as butter, white, like a froth, comes up. But as it comes up, you change the direction, and whatever came up goes back within to the bottom. But finally, you have the clear, crystal clear residue. You call that as butter, from which, of course, you get the ghee. But without the buttermilk suffering the bottom of the kalayam, of the pot, you can't get clarity. So, soham vandu uruvadu thelivu. இது கடைஞ்சாத்தான் வெண்ணெய் வரும். துக்கத்தை கடைஞ்சாக்க வர்றது தெளிவு. துக்கத்தை கடைவதுதான் தெளிவுக்கு வழிபிறக்கும். This you'll find in the short story by J.M. Mohan, which I am reminded of when I was rereading all these three poems. So that's a kind of clarity Keats wants us to achieve. And I think through suffering, getting clarity is valid, was valid, not only in his time, but I'm sure in our time, for the digital generation too, they should be in search of clarity for whatever questions they are asking, and they cannot find all the answers in chatbot or AI. They got to look at it themselves, look at the suffering they go through, look at the sufferings of others, and try to find some kind of clarity. That's how I see Keats and Rohan. Can we wait for questions, or
Yes.
people can contribute from?
Yeah, sure. So now the floor is open for questions, clarifications, and for comments. Please unmute your mics, those who want to speak. So you can share your ideas.
Yes, sir. Sir, actually, there cannot be any question with Dr. Nedumaran. Definitely. No one in the life can ever question his intelligibility. And number two, and there cannot be a person who can speak about Keats with reference to all the epics, including Ramayana and others. And excellent, sir. Excellent, sir. I just think that I'm in American college now.
Thank you for your wonderful feedback, sir.
Excuse me, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. My name is Lakshman, Dr. Lakshman, working with the Ministry of Education, hailing from Pondicherry. I was taken to my college days as I listened to Professor explaining the Odes of Keats. I can only add to the fact that this professor is very much required for the youngsters to take these ideas to Keats. We miss such people around us. I'll be happy if if doctor is able to give permanently a sort of a weekly or bi-weekly or monthly lecture on Keats or words, because we can find the depth of knowledge from the professor's experience. I'm really taken aback. I'm totally surprised at how this is possible in this modern world where people are running after, as Doctor said, ChatGPT and AI and all that. Reading is reading. Keep reading. Keep remembering those people who lived for some time on this planet in terms of literature, especially English literature. When we talk about romantic poets, there is no chance of leaving all these poets mentioned by Dr. Shelley or Keats or Byron. Everybody is unique. And we have a wonderful person with us who is none other than Subramanian Bharati, who had a very, very clear connection with P.B. Shelley. So I think Doctor's lecture, the ideas are making me read more and then connect with our own poets, our own people, and take it further and further. This is a wonderful opportunity. I really bow my head to the professor's ideas and explanations. What an experience, what a knowledge, what a depth of experience we are undergoing as professors working in different parts of the world. Well, I'm taking this to my students when I'm meeting again in my colleges in New Zealand. This is important. Literature is something which cannot be avoided, which cannot be just left alone. It goes with us, it lives with us, and we live with that. Thank you so much, Doctor, for your wonderful input, wonderful reflections on Keats, reflections on romantic poetry, and so on and so forth. What a nice experience, especially when you quoted even from Shakespeare, even from King Lear. Come on, it's a beautiful experience. Thank you so much for organizing, giving me the opportunity to share my views on this particular day. I've already crossed 3:30 in the morning. It's already, I'm so much, engrossed in the thoughts of the doctor's explanations. So much I'm grateful, sir. I'm very, very grateful to everybody who listened to my comments. It's nothing to say about Professor. We can only sail with him. He is taking us as a leader, as a captain of the ship. We'll travel with you, sir. We want more of your experience for us to go on in this world. Thank you so much. I'm very, very proud of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your warm, heart-touching thoughts and feedback. Thank you.
Good evening, Professor. This is Chakravarti, one of your students from the American College. Hope I'm nice to see you, Professor.
Dr. Chakravarti.
Yes, Chakravarti, your student. Coming to the topic, I think the answer lies in sense perception that dominates in Keats. The audio, the visual, the oral, all senses are very much alive in Keats' poems, as you have taught us. And Ode to Autumn, the poem, the third poem that you dealt with, it talks about fruition, wherein everything comes to a climax. Everything comes to a climax. In most of the Keats poems, and as you have taught us, and in general in romantic odes, poets try to find answers for those questions that crop up in their minds regarding lives, regarding perception, and all such things. That is why this question, like, do I sleep or wake? And in Ode to Autumn, Keats kind of exposes or expresses a kind of maturity wherein most of the questions are answered. And in Ode to Grecian Urn, he gets into a kind of a philosophical dilemma regarding, though the scene is beautiful, though the situation is beautiful, it is left incomplete. Where is fruition? Where is consummation? And only such things are carried on to the poem Ode to Autumn, where questions are answered, I suppose. Thank you, Professor. When you read Keats' poems, more questions are popped up rather than answers. But I think a beauty of the poem lies only in making the reader think more and ask more questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Chakravarti. And can I say something here? One, we have these very popular qualifier, prescribed poems. Remember, in our universities and colleges, prescribed poems. So you prescribe Nightingale and kill that poem, kill the poet, just one poem, fine. But it took me some time to discover that you got to read all the poems together, in all the 6 odes. Plus, you got to look at the poem in the context of world poetry from your own language. So I think that is Chakravarti was talking about the 3 poems, how one raises a question, the other philosophical, and the last one finding a certain clarity. So my request would be, the boards of studies, make 1 or 2 poems, odes, as prescribed. The other as there is another anachronism called a non-detailed text. I don't know, when the poet writes, okay, this is going to be a detailed poem, I'll be very careful. I'm going to write a poem that is going to be non-detailed. I don't have to worry about that poem. They don't think like that. So I think Chakravarti is still active in Bharatiyar University. So am I right or wrong?
Yes,
okay.
Sir. Yes.
Okay. Now you can influence the boards of studies that when you prescribe, you don't have to worry about prescribed or non-prescribed. The students should reach out to the library, feel the book, take the damn book from the stacks and read it and write assignments. This is my my appeal. And Chakravarti made another point about questions. You'll find in Nightingale ends with a question, and in Grecian Urn begins with series of questions, and there is one question in the 3rd stanza of Ode to the Autumn. It reminds me of Puduvai Pittan. He wrote a poem. The master of short stories has written also a few poems. And one poem இருட்டு எங்கும் எதிலும் தனி இருட்டு. And he says, எங்கு எதற்கு ஏன் என்று கேள்வி கட்டக்கால் எங்கு எதற்கு ஏன் என்று கேள்வி வரும். He writes it in the 30s, I guess. So you ask, wherefore, what for, why? The question's a boomerang. What for, wherefore, what for, why? I think is perhaps it is one of the tenets of the modernism, which of course is dead, but I think it is still valid. And that is what we have to do in the classroom, as Chakravarti said. The poet asks questions, and we have to raise questions in the classroom. But unfortunately, the focus is on something else. But I want, there are all teachers here, you got to, நெருப்பு என்றால் வாய் வேக வேண்டும். So when you are teaching kids an ode, you know, it is like the whole class become a purgatorial forge. In the poetic sense.
Happy, Professor, that we could relive the poems with you.
It's a long time ago, Chakravarti.
Yes.
It's just a long time ago. Yeah. And Rohan kind of, he is my redeemer. So thanks to him, I forged a romantic revival.
Thank you, Rohan, thank you, Rohan, for giving us an opportunity to listen to our professor again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Very much honored and delighted.
Thank you.
Yes, any more comments?
Good evening,
Yes,
sir.
Hello.
I'm Dhanashruti. I'm a student from Lady Toke College. I'm doing my final year in UG actually.
Okay.
I really am mind blown by your explanation actually. When I was taught an ode to Nightingale, it was totally a different perspective. And I personally used to think that it was the way he writes these poems is because the sufferings he faced in his personal life. You know, for bringing the concept of negative capability.
Yeah.
And you inspired me a lot today, and you taught me the perspective on how to view the works of John Keats, and I really am thankful for that. And I would like to also thank Dr. Rohan for giving me this opportunity. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you. I think we didn't talk about negative capability, the rare and privileged capacity to live in doubts, questions, and very Shakespearean, very Shakespearean. A lot of suffering, a lot of doubts, a lot of questions Shakespeare raises. And he raises, and we have to find answers, like in Macbeth or Hamlet. So that's why Keats is so Shakespearean. So anyone who loves Shakespeare will love Keats.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you, sir. I am Dr. Ganesan from Vivekananda College. Sir, I was a student at T Nagar, sir. You taught us public speaking, personality development.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You used to quote from almost all the Shakespearean plays. Thank you so much, sir. It's been nearly 2 decades since I listened to you. Thank you, Dr. Rohan, for giving us an opportunity to listen to Dr. Nedumaran. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ganesh.
Welcome, sir.
Yeah, I spent 6 glorious years in Chennai.
Yes, sir.
Trying to conquer Chennai.
All right.
But Chennai is a very interesting city, and I had a great time. Just one anecdote.
Yes, sir,
I
please,
put up a small ad in the Hindu, very expensive. Professor Nedumaran, American College, speaks on public speaking in the mini hall at Music Academy. Capacity of 350. And you know what? There were 400 people present. It was free. But in Madurai, if you pay people 100 rupees, they won't come. They will accept the money, but they won't come to the meeting. But Chennai was totally different. That intellectual curiosity. They don't know me. They must have thought that I was some kind of politician or whatever from my name, but they came driven by curiosity. I think that kind of curiosity we have got to encourage among our students. I'm sorry to say, I think paper
Dr.
reading
Nazir.
has become the order of the day. I request the teachers who go for higher qualification that you will have to, as Shakespeare said, play is the thing wherein you will catch the conscience of the king. Classroom is the thing wherein you will catch the conscience. Very important. But I'm very happy there are 207 participants. Wow.
Yeah, it was 250, sir.
250, that's a very impressive number.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, good evening, sir. I am Somasundaram, your old student.
Oh, Commandant from Calcutta.
Yes, sir. And
Go ahead.
nice to hear your voice since I heard it for the first time 35 years ago, sir. And and I still remember the lecture you gave in the main hall, because of which I could get through the entrance examination. And whenever I give public speaking, sir, I acknowledge your teaching in the defense circles also. Now, the thing I want to talk about Keats is, I think he represents the Greek god of Phaedrus. One side full of Apollonian virtue and the other side full of Dionysian virtue.
Okay.
And it's a perfect blend of both Dionysian as well as Apollonian virtues. And for that only reason, I read Keats' poems very often. Thank you very much for a very elaborative and, as usual, very engrossing session, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Somo, any day I would like to be a Dionysian.
Yes,
the last thing I want to be in life is Apollonian. No way.
Same here, sir.
But I think you are a commandant, you need a certain Apollonian traits, but I think you have to admit it, you are a diehard.
Sir. Yes, sir. I think we should have a little of Apollonian virtue and more of Dionysian virtue.
I accept it. I accept that.
Yes,
absolutely.
That's what makes life meaningful, sir. And thank you very much once again, sir.
Pleasure is mine, so.
Yeah, this is Russo from Madurai. Yes, sir. As usual, Professor Aaron shook the stage, moved the audience with his stupendous teaching. I remember him saying in the class, as he now a few minutes ago said, நெருப்பு என்றால் வாயு வேக வேண்டும், செய்யுள் என்றால் ஆன்மாவை உழுக்கக்கூடியதாக இருக்க வேண்டும். Yes, our souls were enriched, shaken, sir. I just want to ask a question to you, sir. Now the trend is to apply literary theories on everything. What is your take on applying literary theories on such? Because you talk about experiencing the poem, enjoying the poem, reading the poem. What happens when you apply a theory to a poem?
That's a question. Well, I will do that only after my, burning in the forge. I have to live the poem and then try to figure out where the poem will fit in. I will never start the poem straight away from the perspective of a theory. That will kill the poem. So all the theorists can enjoy the poem in public, because I see so many students, well, those days we never used the word theory, but now it is the byword. But whatever, we were able to influence students for their lives. They may have become teachers or commandants like some, but they have that trait in them to look at life, to love life, to suffer, to redeem themselves, all from their support from literature. I think my suggestion would be teaching is paramount, takes the first claim, and then you follow it up with the Apollonian aspect, that is applying theory. Yeah, I think that will be good.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah,
thank you so much. Rohan, thank you.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you, Russo.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. I'm Pramodi from University of Vocational Technology. And actually, I would like to introduce myself as one of the passed out students and as the first undergraduate under the supervision of Dr. Rohan Saurimuthu at Trinco campus. So it's a great honor to address Professor Nedumaran for his inspiring webinar, and which truly brings literature to life before our eyes. So I extend my heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Rohan Saurimuthu for providing me with the memorable opportunity to hear Professor Nedumaran's voice during my 4th year at Trinco campus using his laptop and tablet. So the recordings are still with me, and I was very lucky to hear your voice and some lessons taught to our sir, Dr. Rohan. So this webinar, I think, webinar is the final outcome of the plans initiated back in 2018 when I was a 4th year undergraduate. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity extended to my university students as well. And they were eagerly waiting to join this session, and they have benefited a lot from this. And thank you once again, Dr. Rohan Saurimuthu, for creating this wonderful platform that connects minds and opens doors to a world of knowledge. Thank you very much, sir. And the whole lecturers in the Department of Communication Studies there.
Welcome, Pramodi. Thank you.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Can I audible, sir? Can I audible?
Yeah,
Yes,
Satya
you're
Krishna
audible.
Sundar.
Yes, sir. Nedumaran, sir, hope you know me that I'm Sundar, sir, from Bodinayakanur, sir.
Ah, yes.
Yeah. Very happy to see you, sir. I would like to say something. I'm not a student of Nedumaran, sir, but I quite
You're lucky.
know
You're one of
about
those
him.
lucky guys.
Yes. No, sir, not like that. But I know him very well through my teacher from Professor Yelongo, sir. And I was working in Bodhi CBA College 4 years back. Yes, his former HOD of English, that Professor Sukumaran. Right now, I send a message to him that he couldn't able to come to this meeting. Unfortunately, he's in out of town actually. He convey regards to you, my teacher, because Sukumaran sir, a student of the American College when he studied in UG. Then I personally met him once, Rohan sir at American College when I was doing my my PG days and MPhil days. I think he came to the department and meet Dr. JJ sir as well. Sukumaran sir used to talk me like told me once whenever he teach Keats and Shelley, he used to take department students to nearby Bodhimettu because he enjoys teaching through எங்களுக்கு இது மாதிரி தான் எங்களுக்கு இந்த மாதிரி poetry class வந்து நெடுமாறன் எங்களுக்கு டீச் பண்ணியிருக்கிறாரு. That's why I bring to my students that feel. So here at this juncture, I would like to say my former colleague who elaborated your teaching, sir. So it's my immense pleasure to it's my immense pleasure to talking to you, sir. And by the way, I mean Rohan sir and other Chakravarti sir is here, and my teacher I think Ilongo sir is here, but I'm not sure whether he is in meeting or not. And thank you so much, sir, for the opportunity, sir.
Good evening, Dr. Nedumaran sir. Sir,
yes, ma'am.
Here I am Prema from Meenakshi College, English Department.
Madurai.
Yes, sir. You have failed to promise the thing that wherever you address, you said you promised me to share the link and everything. After a long time, I heard from my college professor. So I'm so because we teachers know, sir, we are very tired of teaching the students. So we love to listen. We love to be a student like you, professor, in front of you. So please, you don't forget, sir. I think you
I'm
remember
sorry,
me.
my apologies.
Yeah, when you have be the resource person of Madurai Kamaraj University,
Oh, yes.
refresher course. Yes,
I
sir,
remember.
Juliet, and
I
myself,
remember.
Senthil, sir. Yes, sir. Sir, so, but I just now I joined, sir. Just now I heard this news. So anyway, I'm so happy to see you here, Professor. Thank you very much. Please render your service
Yeah,
by lecturing
it's
like this.
very,
So thank
it's
God the
very,
webinar technology.
very
So sad.
kind of you. But you know, I was very skeptical about making this this lecture through you know, they call it as a Zoom meeting or whatever. So I always have a problem with technology. And it's not easy to talk to a screen where you
Yes, sir.
find only your image and you have to upload yourself, right? It's not like the real life situation where you're in a classroom
Yes.
surrounded by
Yes, sir.
live young students. And that's, you know, that can never replace technology. But thank you for
Yes, sir.
your very warm words.
1 month before we met GRB, sir, Dr. GR Balakrishnan, we
Yeah,
talked about you, sir. So,
GRB was my senior.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. You used to tell us during the classes. So thank you very much, sir, for sparing some time for us to share.
My
So,
pleasure. Thanks,
sharing,
Rohan.
sir, please.
Absolutely.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. This is Najib from New College, and I'm your student. Hope you remember.
Oh, Najib from New College, Chennai.
Yes, sir. Hope you remember me a couple of weeks back. I met you and got
Yeah.
your blessings at Radisson Blue,
Right.
Chennai, and I'm so excited. And it's like I'm feeling like sitting there in the Flint House and just listening to you. Thank you so much, sir. And
Absolutely.
yeah, for those audience, sir is a flamethrower, and during his heydays in the sense like not only some 30 years ago, even now, sir has got the same vibes, you know. So I'm
No.
I'm so glad,
This is
and
that's why we all love American college.
yes, sir.
American
Yeah,
college is an idea. It's an
yeah.
idea that has been growing
Yes.
from 1881.
Yes,
And we're all
you
part
are
of
one
that
of my
idea.
inspirations, and you made me to not only me, and there are many there in the nation as well as in the international level, where students of you are the great questioners. You know, they just raise questions and they just go against to the system where if there is any kind of political oppression or whatever happens there in the unrest world. Sir, here I have a question for you.
Sure.
Sir, in the present generation as a teacher, I don't know whether my fraternity are experiencing the same what I am feeling right now. In the present generation, where the emergence of artificial intelligence and the deluge of information just pouring in our inbox, the Generation Z, do you think that this generation is losing the aesthetic sense of reading poems as well as the I mean, the fictions are just dominating there in the human brains, where they are just losing their human nature, you know. So what's your opinion on that? And how can we, if you say that the machines are taking over and replacing the human critical thinking or analysis or whatever, how can we just put forth our teaching pedagogy in the present generation, as well as the generations is going to be there in the next couple of decades? Thank you, sir. Thank you.
I remember the words of T.S. Eliot in one of the 4 quartets. He says, last generation's words belong to last year or whatever. Not exactly the words. But he says every generation brings its own idiom, its own themes, its own words. So we can't blame the present. Well, you got to speak the idiom the previous generation did. I'm very hopeful. No technology rob me, get from me, take away from me my love, my passion for whatever I do. I teach, and I love teaching. No technology can supplant, can help me, like I use Google. But I'm not a disciple of Google.
I got it.
I may use this Zoom Meet or Google Meets. That's a convenience. Convenience cannot suppress my instincts for profession, for greatness, to express myself. So I can walk into any classroom anywhere in Tamil Nadu. There can be 100 students or 50 students. I can hold sway. That's a kind of confidence I have. I don't believe in the showing slides which they read. And I read it from the slide, showing my rather unattractive back to the audience. No, I don't believe. I believe in words. The poet heard the words from somewhere. He put it in a poem, and I got to hear those words within me and got to transfer it. And I think I can do it to any generation. I agree with you. There are many enemies. There are many forces, like technology, like media. Yes, but it's my duty to wean these fellows away from those and make myself more relevant, more attractive. அது எல்லாமே எங்களோட தீதும் நன்றும் பிறதர வாரா.
Still, it's a kind of a perplexing kind of situation in the present.
Enjoy that perplexity. Don't become desperate. Enjoy the difference. And believe in yourself. That's what I do. Because I told you, I retired in 2002. This is 22 years. I'm not going to divulge my age because I'm as young as I think. But the last time I walked in the classroom was 2002, 22 years ago. But I feel very confident I can walk into any class, any contemporary classroom anywhere in the world and make myself heard. அது என்னுடைய நம்பிக்கை.
So conviction is important.
Yeah, you got to love what you do. I love teaching. I never applied for any other job.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
We have
Sir.
Started, yeah.
Sir, I'm Rajkumar. Sir, do you remember me? I'm Rajkumar of Rohan classmate, sir.
From BA, you went to the Air Force or Army?
No, I worked in schools, ICC schools in Madurai, sir, Keswick, CUA, and all.
There are so many Rajakumarans in my life.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have your presence. I was so delighted to have your lectures heard in American College. And American College gives a wonderful opportunity to work anywhere with
good, very great brand name, sir. Once we are known that we have been in American college, we are given a very good brand name, sir. And I'm very delighted to have your presence in the meeting, sir. And I'm so glad to have your lecture, sir. Thank you so much.
Very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
There's a mistaken identity there. Because Rajkumar
I'm
was
Rajkumar,
a colleague.
Rohan's classmate, sir.
Oh, Rohan's class. Okay.
He was the
Rohan's
keyboardist for
classmate.
some time.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Maybe you were a very good student, and that's why I don't remember my very quiet, law-abiding.
It's okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir.
Sir, there are two questions by one Mr. Ilango from MKU.
Yeah.
Question number one, being the youngest of all the poets of his age, shall we consider Keats's understanding of beauty, if not life, as a cumulative sum of all the romantics and other writers before him? As a cumulative sum of all the romantics.
But you know, there are very strong differences in approach to, say, an area like nature or beauty. Each differed from the other quite considerably, am I right? Like the kind of religiosity with which Wordsworth approached. I don't think there is any such impact on Keats, like making nature as a kind of a goddess to be worshipped. I think the world of nature is so real. I see, I sing, and that is what he says in one of the poems. Everything is visual, everything is auditory, and there is no reference to, as nature as religion. And Shelley, he was very political. Keats was not political. Indirectly, yes, maybe. But perhaps he might have attempted long poems like, for example, Endymion, which might have been an attempt trying to compete with Wordsworth, Wordsworth's long narrative poems, like Prelude, for instance. Perhaps earlier attempts, and later the aborted attempt, Hyperion. But basically, he excelled in the compressed lyric form, like no other romantic poet. That's how I react. Okay.
And the same person has asked for a translation of Keats' line, beauty is truth, truth, beauty, that is all, into Tamil. I'm still at the crossroads whenever I try to have one. That's what he says. So he wants to have...
Why may or...
Okay, thank you, sir. So that is all for now. And any more questions from Sri Lanka?
Rohan?
Yes?
I want to say something to sir.
Yeah, sure. You're most welcome.
You would have guessed by this time. Rohan, you remember very well.
Beg your pardon?
Sir, taught us special author with Wordsworth, right? We missed Keats being taught by sir. Am I right? Rohan?
I can't hear. Rohan?
Yes, yes.
Sir, can you hear me?
Not very clear. Rohan, can you help me?
Yeah, can you ask the question?
Yes, sir. When we are doing UG final year, we belong to 95 batch. We were not taught Keats by you, but we were taught Wordsworth by you. But we understood till our previous batch, you were the one who was teaching Keats as special author in the last semester. Unfortunately, we missed you at that time, sir. I mean, to learn Keats from you. But now the long dream got fulfilled now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
General,
So,
I need help. Rohan?
so he is thanking you,
But I still
fulfilling his long lost
Yes.
dream.
No, I can see that from his very pleasant, smiling face. He's very happy to see me. And that I think is very flattering.
Yes, sir. I still remember the days how you used to take us for a stroll in the campus when you were teaching Wordsworth, especially the poems like The Solitary Weeper, Daffodils. Am I right, Rohan?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
were also there for Wordsworth.
yeah, sure.
Yes, right?
So
But
thank
at the
you,
same time,
Sendal,
we
for
also
your.
missed a part of right.
So
Sendal,
there is
Finally, yeah.
one more question
Yes.
from S. Gopinath, a research scholar, in the chat box.
Okay, Rohan, I understand.
What is the working definition of negative capability? What is the working definition of negative capability?
I'm confronted by doubts, questions, I need clarification. But I'm not upset by these questions. They don't lead to depression. I'm willing to live amidst doubts and questions, and I devise my own way to find some clarity for these questions and maybe possible answers. So this is very Shakespearean, the capability, the capacity to live amidst whatever that is negative. As we live in this world, surrounded by negativity, but you got to keep sane, balanced, trying to cope with the negativity around us. And I think that's exactly what Keats did. Surrounded by suffering, surrounded by doubts, and he fights his own way using his own, weapon, imagination, fancy, and finds a certain clarity. I think I have answered your question, if I'm right.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. Before concluding, this is Ben from St. James College, Palimkotai. Good evening, everyone. A very special thanks to all the members of the organizing committee who have brought this great man before us, and for the wonderful opportunity that you have given us to listen to him. I believe that age cannot wither his intellectual caliber. He's still in his memory. Yes, sir. I have heard a lot about you, but I thank God for the opportunity that I have got now today to listen to you. Thank you so much for your scintillating, prolific, thought-provoking talk. Sir, this is my simple doubt, sir. How do you maintain your memory, and how do you recall the lines from the text just like that? It's an amazing. Okay, sir.
I think the big difference. Teaching was my passion.
Okay, sir.
And American college was, was a godsend gift. And I loved the 35 years. And there was no other motivation except to, excel, compete. When I was working, there were two giants. One was R.P. Nair, the other was J. Vasantan. Vasantan was a master of English drama, and Nair was a master of fiction and non-fiction prose. And I was competing with them. So there was a very healthy competition. I was competing them with my passion for poetry. Another factor, students.
Yes, sir.
You can't get students like I had from Flint Towers or Humanities block or the Centenary block. So I think they were an awesome and inspiring presence. Just one anecdote, if I have a minute. Two
Sure,
anecdotes.
sir.
One, I have told this umpteen times in many places. In BA literature, third year or fourth batch, I asked for a feedback about my teaching, the third year BA literature.
Okay, sir.
And one student got up and said, "You are like a steam engine." I thought I was very happy. I said, "Why are you comparing me to a steam engine?" He said, "The steam engine makes a lot of noise. It puffs and huffs and frets for the first few minutes and then it's silent. Like that, you walk into the classroom, you roar thunder for the first 15 or 20 minutes, and then you die." You know, I never slept that night for many nights. It taught me content is the king. I can't get away with content.
Beautiful, sir.
For 1 hour or 2 hours, I got to have the content. I had the words. I had the flamboyance. I can walk in like a hero and mesmerize you with words.
Really, sir.
But என்னையா சொன்னாரு? Nothing. No content.
Thank you.
Rude shock. And that shock was given by a student. One other incident, allegation. I remember his name. I gave an assignment, write an essay, critical essay on Ode to West Wind. 34 or 33 out of 35 copied from the library. But this fellow wrote that assignment with the topic, why I cannot write an assignment on Ode to the West Wind. The reason, I was reading Friedrich Nietzsche, the German philosopher, his book, Das Spake Zarathustra. So I was so engrossed, troubled by that book. I couldn't sleep. Now you're asking me for a very mundane exercise like an essay on Ode to the West Wind. I'm sorry, I cannot. I gave him 7 out of 10. The only honest fellow who wrote that, I can't write an essay on Western because I was engrossed with something else. இதுதான் மாணவர்கள். These are the kind of students who inspire me. You now understand what, it's love. They love me, I loved them, I loved what I did. And that made a lot of difference.
Thank you so much, sir. What a great lesson now it is to be taught to the people like us. Right, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much. Content is the king. Oh, great, sir. It's a line to be quoted often. Content is the king. If we have the content, we can walk into the room like
Absolutely.
a head
Absolutely.
held high. Thank you so much,
Sir,
sir. Thank you so much.
Excuse me again, Lakshman from New Zealand, sir. I've got to share something important with you.
Dr.
Beholder
Sakalingam from New Zealand?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Auckland?
Yeah, yes, sir. I'm in Auckland, yeah.
That's where my son lives.
Yeah, please send me
It's
his
a very
address.
small world.
I'll meet him. You can send his address to me. I'm very much here for the last 25 years. The beholder, single in the field, yawn, solitary hide and lash, reaping and singing by herself. Stop, yeah, gently pass. Alone she cuts and binds the grain over the sickle, bending. So all these lines are in our mind when Professor Clement taught us when we were in second MA. I think the passionate approach, reading and reading and reading, no chat box or no AI, nothing can beat our reading. Naturally, the poet sits in us and he is talking through us, which is very much essential for us. Any poet, especially Wordsworth, is such a great poet. Same thing happens with Keats. Well, as far as Keats is concerned, truth is beauty, the thing of beauty is a joy forever. These 3 different ideas, I think he is saying 3 different ideas. For example, truth, beauty. Why is he repeating beauty's truth? And then he says the thing of beauty is a joy forever. Well, is he trying to send the compliments with these 2 types of utterances, beauty, truth, beauty, or is he able to find some sort of differentiations or demarcations so that people can understand the concepts in different ways in their minds when they think? This is a very pressing question for so many years, sir.
A thing of beauty is a joy forever, its loveliness increases. These were the opening lines, if I'm right, of Endymion.
Yes, sir.
And it's one of his early attempts. The Odes came much later, 1819, April and May. And of course, that's a final salvo from Keats. But between Endymion and the Odes, there is that. See, they say that Keats was inherently Greek in spirit, and he had seen the Elegian marbles, poems, sculptures, paintings. So tremendous influence from whatever that was Greek literature, culture. And the Greeks believed in the combination of truth and beauty. Whatever is beautiful, it contains truth. And whatever is true, it is beautiful. So that he gets, when he was maturing as a poet and towards the end of his life or career, he makes this truth, beauty, beauty, truth. That's all you need to know. Who says that? The urn or the poet? Let's not go into that picking. But they complement each other. They are the same. Beauty must contain truth. A rose blooms in the morning and dies in the evening. Beautiful. But it does tell me some truth. Truth about transience. Truth about transience. Just an example that comes to my mind. So you look at the Tanjore temple. It's beautiful. It is just tall, towering. It brings from another age, but it has a message for me. It has a message for life, for my culture. So I think it's a great message for the world. Truth, beauty, and beauty and truth. What do we see around us in the modern world, like tsunami, like volcanoes, the unseasonal rains? Is nature taking revenge on us? We fail to see the truth in nature. That, Malarood Niyirti, Adagandu Parikanan Nandinen, Ramalingadi. Don't pluck the flower, because in the flower is God. Did we heed his words? What about the tall, towering trees, the mighty green-robed senators, as Keats would call the trees? We fell them, and we pay a price, like in Tamil Nadu, the floods. So nature can be cruel, and we have failed to see the truth. And that is a message I get from Wordsworth or Shelley, or especially Keats. Truth, beauty, beauty, truth. Very relevant to the modern generation that is bent upon destroying nature. Why we need a conference on climate change? 2 days ago, they are still squabbling in that conference. There is no need. We could have protected the climate. But please, long before Wordsworth and Keats, the Tamils have talked about nature in the Sangam poems.
Yes,
How our life was regulated by nature.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we said 8:30. It is going to be 9, and Sir is also a little tired.
No.
Charles Nyanamuthu wanted 20 seconds.
Sir,
Yes, Mr. Charles Nyanamuthu.
I'd like to thank Dr. Rohan for this opportunity. And sir, this is Charles Nyanamuthu from Dallas, Texas. I hope you remember me. I was not in your class, but I have worked with you in plays, a couple of plays.
Oh, okay.
Bulletin, The Name of God, student of Vilango. Professor Elando.
Okay.
So I want to pass on a comment from one of our students. You look younger than before.
Was that again? Was
You
that
look
again?
younger than before. You look younger than before.
My wife she heard that just now. Very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this. It was a wonderful experience. I've been there from the beginning, listening to you, and I've never attended your class. I don't remember attending your class, but I never been close to you because of the respect and the fear that surrounded you every time, all the moment, and the electrifying thing. I kept myself away from that shock. So I don't know if you remember me, but thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Rohan.
If I see a picture, I'm sure that will bring my remembrance. I will see. I'll ask Rohan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks, sir. Charles.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your wonderful feedback. And any of my students, you want to ask something from Professor?
Yes, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Very good evening, all of you. And I'm a fourth-year student from Trincomalee campus. A student of Dr. Rohan Savarimutu. I have a small doubt, sir. And you explained all the odes of John Keats. And how do the odes depict this resolution or acceptance of life inherent duality, such as joy and sorrow, reality and imagination likewise?
Acceptance is a very gracious gift. Acceptance is salvation. So in Ode to Autumn, that's a message I get. That not that I don't question the present or I don't raise my voice, but there are certain things I have to accept and then go on. I think the message I get from Keats is the ceaseless exploration. I don't think the autumn is the final call, the be all and end all, and it answers all our questions. No. I think we shall not cease from exploration. And when all explorations always begin and end from where they started, I'm quoting Eliot. There is also a message I get from Ode to Autumn and other poems of Keats, that I'm not going to be deceived by every season has its own music, and that is a message. I got to go beyond that message. So I had to explore. I explore other poems, poets like Eliot or Auden, or contemporary poets, and keep engaging in that search. But it refines my attitude to life. I think that is the gift of Ode to Autumn and other poems of Keats, our great poets. They polish, refine my persona, my approach to life. That's a huge gift. That's why. Have I answered your question?
Yes, so thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, sir, for spending so much of time with us.
No problem.
And Akshaya?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Akshaya, can you propose the vote of thanks?
Yes, sir, sure. Hi, good evening, sir. Respected professors, lecturers, teachers, and dear participants, good evening all. I am Akshaya Muralidharan, a second-year language student in Trincomalee Eastern Campus. Today's lecture has opened our eyes into the grand vistas of poetry, especially into the odes of John Keats. We have heard the lion roar,
This has been lively poetic experience. I thank Professor Nedumaran, the resource person, for this wonderful lecture. We have been hearing a lot about his Innova Poetry class by the Rohan sir. He always says you are very talented and busy person. It's very privileged to listen to has been one of the greatest gift to us here in Sri Lanka. I also take this opportunity to thank Dr. Subramanian, Assistant Professor of English, Sikinayaka College, Erode, India, for his sweet introduction about you, sir. We have been enjoying your past lectures on Shakespeare, sir. Thank you for joining hands with our poetry teacher. And I also thank Dr. Navin Raj, sir, Dr. Nirva Jayasundara ma'am, and Dr. Brayman, Dr. Idiraj, sir, Mr. Sumit, sir, of the Department of Language and Communication Studies, for your presence and your encouragement. Thank you all. Have a nice day. Nandri Vanakkam.
Thank you.
So, sir, thank you very much. It has been an honor that my students were able to listen to you, experience real poetry, and thank you very much, sir. God bless you.
Thank you, Rohan. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All the best, and my greetings to all, and thank the wonderful audience I had this evening. Thank you, and good night to all of you.
Sir, please send the